Hopefully you watched yesterday's video. Hopefully you guys tailed something because we completely swept the board on Friday. Perfect 4-0 card, perfect 4-0 game. And I'm just going to try to keep that going. We're going to try to keep making money, especially on a Saturday. It's a little bit rainy where I'm at, so I'm probably going to be watching hockey all day, probably going to be inside just watching hockey all day. And in honor of that, I'm going to give you guys my top 3 picks first that I like the most, the ones I'm most confident in. And then I'll break down the rest of the card and just so you guys have something to watch if it's raining where you're at, just like me. That way you got something to follow the whole day. So, my first most confident play I got for you guys. We have the LA Kings heading over to Ottawa. Remember, the LA Kings are on a little bit of a road trip. I believe this is their 3rd game on the road. I like Ottawa in this spot, guys. I think the lines kind of reflect that. This is a sharp chaser, special type of game. Ottawa 6-4 at home so far, and the Kings 5-3. But both the Kings and the Senators have 2 games that they have lost on overtime. So I can see why the lines are going to be how they are. It looks like this is going to be a very tight game. It's going to be a very, very close game. And with games like this, I had to pick them. The best angle that I got for me, the Kings played really tough against the Toronto Maple Leafs. I lost that one in overtime. I had the Maple Leafs winning that one. They were a home dog. This time, Ottawa's a home favorite. I just don't think the Kings are gonna be perfect on this road trip. They've been doing great so far, which as a fan I like to see it, but I just don't think the Kings are gonna go on a perfect winning road trip. I think they're bound to lose one on the road trip, and I think this one's it. I've been trying to catch the falling knife already. Not exactly falling knife because the Kings have been winning, but I just don't think they're gonna go on a perfect road trip, and I think the Senators I think the Senators crack them and find a crack in the shield and give them their first loss on this little road trip that they've gone on. So give me the Ottawa Senators -115. If it also means anything, this line has kind of been the same over the last maybe 8 to 10 hours. The lines haven't really moved much, so I think this is for sure going to be at a pick 'em pretty much the whole day, unless some other news comes out. But as far as the lines that I've been watching, they're gonna be these lines have been the same pretty much for the last 8 to 10 hours. Second play that I got for you guys, again with some confidence in, we got Winnipeg heading over to Calgary. Calgary, arguably the worst team in the NHL, very arguably. If not, I think they're the absolute worst, pretty much hands down. Winnipeg's a good team, guys, but the thing is, they can lose to any team on any given day. They've already shown they can win against strong teams, lose against weak teams, and everything in between. Everything. So it doesn't matter who's on the board. It's always, if you're putting money on the Jets, it's always nerve-wracking, and that's just something I don't want to do. I've already been on Winnipeg a few times. It's not fun. I don't like it. Even when they win, I don't like it. And -138 seems a little bit of a trap to me, especially going up against the worst team, at least what I think consider the worst team. Winnipeg is not somebody who wins dominantly also. If the other team is scoring goals, then Winnipeg maybe is scoring goals, maybe not. Calgary's, they get their wins with very, very low scoring games by 1 goal, arguably just maybe 2 sometimes, not that much. So in a game where it's going to be probably very close, where both teams are Calgary just has no offense, and Winnipeg just plays very defensively. And that offense, if it's not there, then it's not going to be a blowout game. You're going to be sweating the whole time. Just look at that game. The one that's very clear in my head right now, guys, is when Winnipeg played the Sharks. That Winnipeg team looked pretty damn lifeless, and that's just something I don't like. Even though the Sharks have improved, they're not the same as Calgary. But for this one, Winnipeg being more of a mid-table to the top of the table team, and we're only getting -138. To me, it's a trap. I can't do it. I like the Calgary better. Calgary have not stacked too many games where they won back to back. Calgary has beaten the Sharks. That was their last win. They won that one 2-0. So again, it's the same thing. They win just very, very close games. They win by defense. But their problem has been the offense for a while now. Being that this is only plus 117, to me it kind of indicates something weird is going on. You know, you have the plus 1.5 juiced all the way to minus 230. So again, it's looking like this is going to be a close game, quite possibly. And if it's a close game where both teams are playing defense, I'll take the team with the plus money. It's weird. It's weird. It's gross. I know. But I do think Calgary is the right spot, guys. My third most confident play I got for you guys. We got the Philadelphia Flyers heading over to Dallas. Flyers coming off of a very, 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 very good overtime win for us. They got us that perfect 4-0 sweep. That one was probably the one I was pretty nervous going into that overtime, but they managed to pull it off for us on some plus money. So we got us some more plus money because of Philadelphia just yesterday on Friday. But now they got to head over to Dallas, playing game back to back. So after that overtime game, I think they're gonna have some tired legs, guys, if I'm being honest, especially against this Dallas team who is at the top of the table. They now have stacked 4 wins back to back. They stacked 4 wins already in a row. That does make me a little bit nervous for this Flyers team. But I do think Dallas can get 5. I think Philadelphia is going to have tired legs. I'm going to go ahead and play that minus 1.5. Minus 1.5 for plus 120. Dallas's last win absolutely destroyed me. I thought the Canadiens was a really good spot to play them, especially with a short line. Canadiens was a short favorite, and Dallas was an on-the-road dog, and that thing was just out. It was not even a sweat. Canadiens had no chance. They were never in that game. You never had your car. Yeah, 7-0 on the road in Montreal to completely destroy them. And I think in Dallas, they do the same thing to Philadelphia. Minus 1.5. I think it gets covered quite easily. At least it should be covered quite easily. Dallas is coming in fresh. Flyers coming in out of an overtime game. Dallas was already the better team, whether these two teams are rested or not. So give me the Stars minus 1.5. That's pretty much the only way I can go here. I was tempted on the Flyers plus 1.5, but at the end of it, I think the Stars are too much, especially for a Philadelphia team who is going to play 2 games back to back with travel. So give me the Stars. Hey guys, I gave you my top 3 picks. I'm going to go over the rest of the card. I'm going to make it fast, give you guys some quick thoughts. These are just going to be some quick leans. I'm not adding these to my record, whether they win, whether we completely sweep the board of all 10, 13 games. I'm only putting those 3 that I picked confidently. That's going to go on our record. So if we win on this one, great. I'm going to break this one down because, like I said, it's raining, so I'm pretty much going to be watching hockey and UFC all day. So, I'm doing it for you guys so you guys can have some more picks, some more choices. So we got the Battle of Florida. We got Tampa Bay Lightning, Florida Panthers. This one's pretty simple for me, guys. I do think the Panthers are the better team, but again, they're just not quite as dominant as they are when they're in playoff mode. Lightning also pretty good, coming off of some very good wins. They're starting to pick up the pace. But in a game where it's just straight rivalry, this one specifically, when it's rivalries, I like to go for the team with the more plus money, simply because you can throw stats out the window. A lot of hatred, a lot of emotion comes into the game itself, especially between players, and you just kind of have to throw stats out the window. The Panthers have won for the most part this rivalry. I think all last season, I think Panthers won every single one, and I think the Tampa Bay Lightning are looking for more revenge. So for me in this one, I'll take the Lightning with the plus money. Next game up, we got the Anaheim Ducks heading over to Minnesota. This one's pretty simple for me, guys. You guys know I'm not playing Minnesota. I'm not playing Minnesota for nothing. It's really hard to get on them. Again, it's just a team that they just don't catch my attention, guys. I can't watch them. I can't anything involved with Minnesota. I just don't even want to be a part of. they're just one of those teams that until they're really, really on fire, then that's when I'll pay attention to them. But that hasn't been the case for the last 2, 3 seasons, so I find it hard to pay attention to this team. The Anaheim Ducks, well, you guys already know I'm a California boy, so and an Anaheim guy, so no question there. But just simply looking at it, I will say be careful with it because it does look a little bit of a trap, in my opinion. We've seen Minnesota being favored over in like the -200s, and now they're just a -130. But the Ducks are, the Ducks are on a roll, even though they have lost their most recent match. But it was bound to come to an end. We'll see if they pick up another win. If I had to make a pick in this game, it's going to be the Ducks for +110. I might put a little bit of it on it just for fun, though. That's not something I want to give to you guys or recommend to you guys. But Ducks, it's the only way I can go in this game if I had to make a pick, +110. Next game up, we got the Boston Bruins heading over to Montreal. This one's also pretty simple for me. If I was forced to make a pick, I just don't like it enough. Canadians, I don't like how they've been. I don't like that loss to Dallas. That was a horrible, horrible loss. I was on the Canadians that match, so I am a little salty, you could say. I'm going to be off this Canadian teams for a little while. If anything, I'll probably be against them until they really start stacking some wins and, start playing like they got some sense. But until then, you're getting complete value with the Boston Bruins at +133. That's the only way I could go about it. The Bruins, they have shown they weren't expected to do much this season, and I think they're already, to an extent, beating expectations. So I'll take the Boston Bruins for +133. This price is just insane to lay down with the Canadians, but maybe they're telling us something. Maybe the Canadians are finally going to get another win, and you guys are not allowed to make profit on it. That's my guess. That's just kind of how I see things. How I've seen these things go sometimes. I think Canadians will win. They just want you to pay up for it, and I think there's just better spots on the board for you guys. So don't pay -155 unless you really want to, or unless you got a gambling problem. In that case, be responsible, guys. Be responsible, especially with this gambling stuff. But I think Bruins has all the value. This one almost made it to one of my top 3, guys, to be quite honest with you. I was really debating on it, but I couldn't quite get there. But I might just play it just because I want to have a little bit more action on the board today. We got the Buffalo Sabres coming into Detroit. And Detroit, I think these lines are exactly where they should be. And Detroit just recently got a very, very dominant win against Anaheim. Very, very convincingly. 6-3 final score. This Sabres team, I don't like them on the road as much as I like them in Buffalo. So for me, the only way I could play this game is Red Wings on the puck line for +147. It's the only way I can go. Detroit, just way better team, player for player, roster for roster. Again, guys, the only thing that makes me nervous is them covering this -1.5, but I do think they win this at the end of it. I just don't want to pay the -170 for it. And even if I look towards Buffalo's way, I don't want to play -172 for that +1.5. On the +1.5, guys, my limit is like -140. -140, -145. That's right around my limit to pay for a +1.5 because sometimes you really do need it. Just like we needed it yesterday in that Vancouver Canucks, and I believe they played Carolina. We did need that goal in our back pocket. It did, and that game ended 4-3, and our bet still cashed. So there's a time and place for this +1.5, guys, and there's a time and place to play the puck line. And for me personally, I just think this one is a perfect spot to play that puck line on Detroit. You're gonna keep getting some decent prices with Detroit, being that their expectations are kind of 50-50 going into the season, and they've been doing a lot better. Then they lost a couple games, and now it looks like they're finally back on the winning track. But I'd play Detroit -1.5 for this game specifically. Wasn't quite confident enough to put it on my top 3 though. Next up, we got the Edmonton Oilers heading over to Carolina, and Carolina coming off a very solid win against the Vancouver Canucks. It was a 4-3 game. So feel bad for anybody who had that -1.5 on Carolina, but We had the plus 1.5 here on the channel, so we did manage to cash with the Canucks. Edmonton, they're just not the same Edmonton that they were the last season. Again, maybe it's a case of this is the second or third season I've seen them, and for the most part, they're slow starters. Once the season gets halfway towards the end, then they really start stacking wins. But for now, being that there's this bad sentiment on them, we're getting decent prices with the Edmonton Oilers. Carolina, they're nice and comfortable at home, so they don't have to travel, but this is going to be their second game back-to-back. Carolina, at the moment, you could say is the better team, but this is still an Edmonton team that is pretty solid. Most pieces that were in there last year are still there. Again, you guys know I'm a big fan favorite of who I think is the current GOAT, which is Connor McDavid, but we can't call him a GOAT. He doesn't have a Stanley Cup. Can't call him a GOAT. But Carolina I think, I'm not sure if they're in the top 3 for sure of favorite to win the Stanley Cup. Edmonton is really climbing out of that range, but they did make the Stanley Cup final last year. This is a tough one, but if I had to, again, this is a tough one that definitely didn't make my top 3, guys. If I have to pick, I would go with the Oilers. I think we're getting value with the Oilers. They managed to get some type of wins lately, wins that they needed. Yeah, that was against the Blue Jackets, big deal. But I still think we're getting value on the Oilers. I think we're going to start to see, especially if they win this game, I think we're going to start seeing more expensive Edmonton Oilers team on the odds. So while we're getting some good prices, while we're getting some good, decent plus prices, I'll take the Edmonton Oilers on this one. Moving on to the New Jersey Devils heading over to Washington, D.C. The Capitals are sitting with a record of just 8-8. I think they're a better team than what their record shows. It's just not translating into the games. Devils coming off of a solid win against Chicago in overtime. That one also killed me on that day I think I went 2-2 that day. And the Devils ruined that one for me. I thought Chicago was going to come back, but it ended up being 4-3 in overtime. Or 3-2 in overtime. One score or the other, guys. Sorry, sometimes my numbers just get mixed up. So, although I don't like the New Jersey Devils on the road as much as I like them at home, they're not terrible on the road. But the Capitals, being that they have an 8-8 record, being that they're playing like a 50-50 team, I just can't lay minus 147 with them. So the only way I could go would be the New Jersey Devils. That offense is pretty much what carries this Devils team. They got a problem with the goal scoring issue. The Capitals are kind of the opposite. I think they're pretty solid defensively, and sometimes the scoring issues show up. So we'll see how this goes, but if I had to make a pick, I'll go with the New Jersey Devils. I just can't pay minus 147 for a team that's 8-8, especially for a team as good as the Capitals, who should be playing way better. Scheme up. This one is just a straight up sharp chaser special, guys. This one's pretty tough. I don't think there's any wrong way you can go about it. I think if you go, whether you go New York, whether you go Columbus, I don't think it matters. It's pretty tough. Both of these teams have almost identical records, and both of these teams' inconsistencies is just it's a wonder. It's a woozy. So pick who you like, guys. I don't think there's a reason there's another reason. It's just another reason why I couldn't have it in my top 3. It was just way too tough to pick a direction to go confidently in, because I just don't think there's a wrong answer here. There's a reason the lines are basically at a pick 'em. But for me, I'll take the home dog with the Columbus Blue Jackets. I really like their solid win that they got, the revenge game that they got against the Edmonton Oilers. But the New York Rangers have also been pretty damn solid on the road, guys. So, again, this one's a tough one. Pick cautiously. Just know this is basically a coin flip game right here. We're not getting plus money with either side. So, tread lightly, bet lightly on this one, and just go with whichever one you like. Columbus, for the most part, especially last year, they were a very, very good, profitable home team, being that we were getting a lot of prices like this, if not even sometimes plus money, and they were just coming through at home. So for me, I'm just hoping Columbus comes through at home, and we cash this in. But this is a tough game all around. So even if you pick the New York Rangers, I won't be mad at you. I don't think it's a bad pick. But for me, I'll take the Blue Jackets. I think this is gonna bounce around that minus 115, minus 105, or both teams minus 110, or another team minus 112 and the other one minus 108. I think you're just gonna see it bounce around pretty much all day. And it's, again, this is that sharp chaser special. So whichever one you add to the parlay, be careful. If you're playing parlays, be careful. I don't really play parlays like that. So if you're gonna add one of these to the parlay, be ready to quite possibly have your heart broken. So pick carefully, guys. But for me, I'll take the home dog in the Blue Jackets. At least at the moment, they're minus 108, so they are the home dog. Next game up, we got the Toronto Maple Leafs heading over to Chicago. Toronto, I put Toronto and the Washington Capitals in the same boat because they are teams that are a lot better than what they're playing. They just don't show up when it comes to being on the ring, being in the ice. They just don't show up, and they play ugly. It's not even enjoyable when they win. You know, again, I've watched this. I was watching that Toronto LA game. They just play so ugly. It's not even fun to watch it. You're always sweating the Toronto Maple Leafs game if you're on them. It's just ugly, guys. That's the best way I can describe it. And then you got the coach coming out here with Toronto saying that they're playing a defensive strategy type of hockey. And what do you know? They're like something like 12, 13, and 2 to the over, something like that. Toronto Maple Leafs games get high scoring. I mean, guys, come on. Look at that Kings Toronto game. It ended up being 4-3. The over is usually 5.5, 6.5, which means that over hit again in the Toronto Maple Leafs game. So I don't know where that coach thinks that he's playing defense, but it's not showing up, dude. It is not showing up. Now, after I talk all that, my pick is the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think the Maple Leafs get this one, guys. I really do. I think they get this one. If they don't get this one against the Chicago Blackhawks, we're going to start fading Toronto. All right, guys? So if they don't get the win today, we're just going to start fading them almost blindly. Maybe. Obviously depends on the other team. But I'm going to take them here. I think they play better. This one is one, I don't know why. Call it a bad habit. You know, call it going back to your toxic ex. Like, it's like going back to your toxic ex-girlfriend. You just want to keep, you just going back and you don't know why. I don't know. I think I'm gonna put a little something on Toronto Maple Leafs to beat the Blackhawks. Maybe I just want to get a little bit of money back after losing to the LA Kings. So I think Toronto wins this one, but I would not be shocked if they do lose it. Because this, again, guys, this is the Toronto Maple Leafs. This is what they do. They play ugly and disappoint us. So, but I'll go with Toronto one last time. Game up, we got Vegas heading over to St. Louis. St. Louis is nice and comfortable at home, but I believe they did just lose not that long ago. I'm not sure if it was a day or two ago. I'm not sure if it was yesterday or the day before, but they just recently lost. I do know that. It was a tough loss too, because I do believe that was an overtime loss. Meanwhile, the Vegas also coming off losses. This Vegas team, man, they're just not showing up, and they're kind of in a slump. So in this match, I would say, again, this is one of those games where you can go with either side, and I wouldn't be mad at it, because you could argue this is a buy low spot with Vegas against a pretty bad team like St. Louis, because you're getting a good price. You're getting a good price with Vegas Golden Knights against St. Louis, but that's mostly because they have been in a slump. So you could see this similar to buying low on a stock before it starts coming up again. Because if Vegas starts stacking wins, you're not going to get prices like minus 147 against a team like the St. Louis Blues. So you could argue that this is a buy low spot, or you could argue that Vegas continues the slump and St. Louis gets the upset. But, I mean, it wouldn't even be much of an upset because the Vegas Golden Knights are in a slump. So at this point, it's just pick your poison. And if I had to pick, forced to make a pick, I think I would bet that the Vegas Golden Knights slump continues, because they just lost at home, and now they have to go on the road and win and get a win against St. Louis, which who also is one of those teams that they'll probably lose 3-4 in a row and then win one, lose 3-4 in a row and then win one. And I do believe St. Louis has lost, I think, right around 3 games. So quite maybe this is the one where they break that little losing streak, and Vegas continues to be in a slump. So that's the way I would go about it. Again, guys, there's a reason that this one didn't make my top 3. So I would pick St. Louis just to be on the plus money side and bet that Vegas' slump continues. Okay, guys, so last game to give you guys a lean before I get up out of here. We have the San Jose Sharks heading over to Seattle, facing the Seattle Kraken. Sharks are coming off of a loss to the Calgary Flames. I don't exactly think that they'll pick up the pace again, even though they are coming back to the West Coast. I just don't think they get the win here, guys. I think they stack another loss back to back. And I would actually play the Kraken -1.5. Every time I've seen these two teams play, guys, the Kraken and the Sharks, the Kraken have just owned the Sharks in more recent years. I know last year, I don't know how many times they played each other, but it seems like almost every single time that I watched it, and the Seattle Kraken ended up winning. And I should know because I was betting the Sharks a lot last year. And I don't know how much money I lost, but there was a couple spots where I did bet heavy, and I did win. So I think that at the end of the day, that balances it all out. But I'm a little bit smarter now. That's why I'm not giving you guys the Sharks just blindly, because the fanboy in me wants to bet the Sharks, being that I'm a California boy. But I don't think that's the right spot. I think the right spot is the Kraken -1.5. I think that's the right way to play it. Both of these teams have been improved, though. Both of these teams improved. I think the Kraken are definitely playing better this season than they have the last season and then the season before that. So I think the Kraken -1.5 is the way to play it, especially being that San Jose is on a little bit of a road trip. They just lost to Calgary. I just don't. So I think that their confidence has taken a little bit of a dip. So at the end of it, I think Kraken -1.5. And that pretty much finishes off the NHL card for Saturday, guys. Bet responsibly. Let me know what you like. Let me know what you like today. Let me know how you guys liked that perfect 4-0 sweep on